maybe next year when we come back, we will have some more goals. And when is it the different institutions in Guyana will start putting the meat on the bones and getting objectives as to how we are going to implement this really long road of educating young people like this, the students, as it relates to what is the stock market, how is it done, why you have to do it, why it is necessary, and in the final analysis, you have to be able to recruit the best and the brightest. We cannot continue to have goals and goals and goals and goals without the institutions coming up and saying these are the objectives. Next year we want to hear a set of objectives.
Investor education was a big topic on the minds of conference delegates in October when the Jamaica Stock Exchange, in collaboration with the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, hosted the second Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference in Georgetown, Guyana, under the theme Financing for Success, where passion, prosperity, and people align. Investor education, investor education, investor education. The process of providing people with the knowledge, skills, and tools to make informed decisions about savings and investments is becoming ever more important in a country where the year-to-date growth in gross domestic product, GDP, is recorded at about 43.8%. GDP per capita in US dollar prices is estimated at about $28,000 to $29,000, up from about $20,626.20 in 2023, with inflation estimated of about 2.7 to 3.5%, some 2 to 3 percentage points below the global average of about 5.9%, according to IMF reporting. It is clear from both the statistical reporting and the buzz in the streets of Georgetown, Guyana is open for business. Regional leaders at the conference brainstormed strategies for more inclusive economic growth through investments and development of capital markets in Guyana to support a more integrated and resilient economy, both nationally and regionally. The conference had some ambitious objectives, such as bringing together participants in the financial services sector to share experiences and best practices that are replicable in different markets. 2, connecting players in capital markets of the Spanish and English-speaking Caribbean with those in Central and Latin Americas. And 3, to maintain meaningful exchange among regional stock exchanges about trading securities on the respective markets and attracting global players to the region. And this is a tall order indeed for a scenario where the passions, the growing prosperity, and the people still require some robust efforts to achieve alignment.
What initiatives are being implemented to educate local entrepreneurs or high schoolers in Guyana on accessing capital for business development?
I am not going to pretend I can answer the question high schoolers, because I don't have the answer. But I can tell you, and if you talk to my friend Castle will tell you, organizations like GCCI, GMSA, and other NGOs, we've been doing this for years now, working with small businesses to let them understand about financing and raising capital. Now, this is a whole different story. This something right here is something that we have to learn in Ghana. The young entrepreneur in Ghana doesn't understand yet about investing in stock exchange. We know about going to the bank, we know about going to places like iPad, we know the different kinds of borrowing money. So this is a whole new issue for young entrepreneurs. And that's my best answer I can give you right now. How are we going to educate them? The answers are just discussed. How are we going to do it? It's going to have to be a process that's going to take place as we move this along. But there are organizations within the business community that are here for this, and we can do it.
Yeah, and likewise, I know Dr. Street will come in, but I'm saying conferences like these help, and also our collaboration, like the GCCI's collaboration with the GSC here,
Now, it was apparent, both from the conference and from conversations with ordinary people in the streets, that stock markets is not the hot topic among ordinary Guyanese like teachers, farmers, police officers, the taxi drivers, the vendors, and many other blue and white collar workers in Guyana. Can't vouch for the diaspora, but the information is important enough to spend a few moments discussing for education's sake. So the Corporate Finance Institute describes capital markets as exchange system platforms that facilitate transfers of capital from investors who want to invest their surplus capital to businesses that require the funds to finance various projects or investments. In other words, capital markets, they're a type of financial markets that bring buyers and sellers together to trade stocks, bonds, currencies, and other financial assets. Capital in this context refers to any resource that is used to build, to run, or to grow a business, or to increase that business's ability to generate value. Now, interest, this is usually the compensation that attracts lenders to actually lend their money. To lenders or investors, interest refers to the income that you earn from financial instruments like savings accounts, dividends, or interest on bonds. To borrowers, interest is the charge for the use of borrowed money, typically expressed as a percentage rate. Borrowers take the money, use it to finance their operations, then they pay the money back in addition to an agreed upon rate at a later date. More specifically, equity securities such as common or ordinary shares and preference shares are traded on the stock market and usually involve ownership or purchase of shares of a business. When you own or purchase equity securities in a company, you essentially own a portion or a percentage of that company and are entitled to any future earnings that company generates. For example, if you buy stocks or shares in a company like the Demerara Tobacco Company, for example, or Demerara Distillers Limited, or Sterling Products, even Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry Limited, all of which, mind you, are listed on the Guyana Stock Exchange, that allows you to be a shareholder in these companies, and you're now entitled to future earnings of those companies. You know, earnings, the thing that companies love to have, right? Or say you are an investor, an entrepreneur with a small business, for instance, where your next upscaling expansion efforts require some large capital outlay where the business does not have that currently. Right? But the growth potential is there and you want to undertake this investment. The stock exchange provides a feasible option to list your company on the exchange, offering shares to the public to help you raise capital to undertake that expansion. And that's just for the sake of two quick, simple examples, although perhaps oversimplified. Now, in Guyana, the Association of Securities Companies and Intermediaries Incorporated, GASCI, that is GASCI, which was incorporated in 2003, that's the local company that operates the Guyana Stock Exchange. It organizes and supervises the Guyana stock market. The Guyana Securities Council is the regulatory body that oversees the Guyana Stock Exchange. The Guyana Securities Council helps to maintain the integrity, transparency, and efficiency of the capital markets in Guyana, while also ensuring that investors are protected and that the security markets function smoothly. In other words, the Guyana Securities Council helps to ensure compliance with the Securities Industries Act of 1998. Now, the Jamaica Stock Exchange is the oldest, the largest, and arguably the best performing stock exchange in the Caribbean region, established back in 1961. Now, some of the other large stock exchanges you may have heard of include the New York Stock Exchange, for example, the NASDAQ, the London Stock Exchange. Regionally, we have the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the Barbados Stock Exchange, and the St. Lucia Stock Exchange. And of course, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, which is about the most prominent in the region. Jamaica has grown. The Jamaica Stock Exchange has grown significantly, both in terms of market capitalization and the range of financial products available in the market. The exchange has gained regional and international recognition for performance and attracts investors and listing companies from across the Caribbean and other parts of the world. And as Guyana's financial markets grow and the demand for alternative investments and capital grow with the establishment of new lanes of business, local policymakers and stakeholders like the Guyana Securities Council may benefit enormously from partnerships with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
We have a strategic partnership with Jamaica Stock Exchange. This is because we recognize there is a need for, one, a junior stock market in Guyana. And it's very important for the government of Guyana right now to recognize that we are calling for help. We need it. The SMEs specifically need to have access to capital. How do we do that? By collaboration. So we will be moving forward with that. The Chamber is excited about it. We need to expose our members to these opportunities. Jamaica Stock Exchange has a model that works. Why not?
Raising capital for companies. Creating channels, opportunities to encourage savings and investing. Providing savers with opportunities to protect their assets against inflation, a big one. Helping to reduce corporate dependence on traditional borrowing, another big one. These are some of the core functions of stock exchanges. And if anything, for an economy bursting at the seams with economic potential, access to capital is critical for sustainable growth of the non-oil sectors in Guyana. But it is clear that many young entrepreneurs have not been leveraging the Guyana Stock Exchange for the full range of benefits the institution should be delivering to the financial sector and the economy as a whole. Interesting enough, the Guyana Stock Exchange states on its website that in the context of Guyana, and I quote, the total volume of savings in Guyana is quite high, but this high savings is held mainly in cash or short-term bonds, and that if mobilized via the stock market to finance the growth of the economy through purchase of new shares issued by companies, savers would have a better return on their savings and the economy would grow. End of quote. Interesting enough. Yet, the vast majority of Guyanese seem completely oblivious to the existence of the Guyana Stock Exchange right on the Avenue of the Republic in the Hand-in-Hand building. And I'm not doing this to provide them with free advertising, but to inform my fellow Guyanese. Following the conference, though, some stakeholders are hopeful that with the appointment, for instance, of a new board at the Guyana Securities Council, a more robust regulatory agenda will be forthcoming, one that should encourage greater participation and engagement with communities and sectors previously underserved by institutions like the Guyana Stock Exchange. And then maybe, just maybe, we can talk in good conscience about successful financing that aligns people and their passions with some of the prosperity rampant in Guyana. Family, this is Guyana Tapestry, and we are telling Guyana's immigration story. Have you been keeping up with the positive developments of importance to us as Guyanese in the diaspora? For example, did you know that as Guyanese abroad are also eligible to receive the one-off $100,000 cash grant issued by the Guyana government to every Guyanese citizen aged 18 and older if you can produce a valid passport and national ID card? We actually want to explore that question, the question of should Guyanese in the diaspora be eligible to receive the 100,000 in a future Guyana Tapestry story. So if you're not connected to Guyana Tapestry, if you're not following us, you're missing out, right? Subscribe on YouTube here, the YouTube channel Guyana Tapestry. Visit us at the Guyana Tapestry website, www.guyanatapestry.com. That is GUYANATAPESTRY.com. And follow Guyana Tapestry on Instagram, on Facebook, or on X, formerly Twitter, to stay updated with the coolest Guyanese events and stories from the home country Guyana and the diaspora. So until our next story, This is Chico with Guyana Tapestry, and it's One Love Guyana.